But really that cumulative donation from the first year being 115,000 to just over 2.7 million,
Total, yeah.
through your organization, which that part is impressive in and of itself. But what we're so proud of in our partnership with Feeding South Dakota is your ability to turn that into about 1.7 million pounds of beef.
Yeah.
Right. And
right.
The dollars are impressive, but the actual distribution of that product is really impressive. And it's something that we're very, very proud to represent.
Right. Because we receive those dollars and then we purchase the product, which goes out through our community partners. So we have about 260, but it goes into every county in the state of through the lifespan of this partnership, every county in South Dakota. So the farmers and ranchers that are coming to the event and supporting the event are getting that return by helping to fight hunger right there in their counties. And I think that's a really fun thing for us to be able to share and say, hey, this event is in Sioux Falls, but look at the impact that it's making. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to 50 Faces of Feeding South Dakota. We're so glad you've been following our podcast. Here we are in May. It's hard to believe we're about 5 months in, and it's actually National Beef Month, which is a very appropriate time to have today's guest on. Ryan Eichler is here with us. Ryan, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about who you are, a little bit about where you live, and how you tie into National Beef Month here in May.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, Ryan Eichler. I'm at Lake Preston, South Dakota. Got a great wife and 3 little boys that we live on a farm just south of town. And so I actually grew up in the beef industry in South Dakota. I grew up north of Aberdeen. Pretty typical operation at the time, right? A diversified crop and cattle operation. Mostly ranching, some backgrounding of calves. I attended South Dakota State University.
Go Jacks.
Go Jacks.
I'm going to have a competition, I think, between Jacks and Yotes on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think we'll win.
Okay, well, that sounds like a Jackrabbit type of attitude.
Absolutely. No, really enjoyed my time in Brookings there, got a degree in animal science, and really have spent my entire career working in and around the beef industry, mostly in animal health and nutrition. And so, but we maintain a cow herd there in Kingsbury County, south of Lake Preston. We feed cattle with my wife's family, and we just really wouldn't have it any other way. It's a great way to raise a family.
So how big is Lake Preston?
Lake Preston's about 800 people.
Okay.
Very rural in nature.
Okay.
And really a very thriving beef industry there. A lot of seed stock production, operations that raise bulls that are used on other operations, cattle feeding. Great place to raise cattle.
So in just visually, in relation to Mitchell, South Dakota, where would you be?
Yeah, we're northeast of Mitchell. We're about 30 miles straight west of Brookings.
Okay.
Yeah, right off of Highway 14.
It makes it easy to get to those SDSU games.
Exactly.
Then, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, if you draw a line between Brookings and Huron, Lake Preston's about halfway in between.
Okay. So rural community, and that's another thing that we have talked about often here on the podcast is rural hunger issues, that there are additional challenges to rural hunger. So you grew up rural, you're still living rural. Have you seen any transition in food access, like grocery stores and things like that in these rural communities?
Yeah, I think there's obviously less rural grocery available. I think about growing up in the 80s and 90s. Most small towns had some sort of an independent grocery store. We're very fortunate in the area where we live. Most of the small towns in Kingsbury County still have small grocery stores, which is great. Some communities aren't as fortunate, and so they end up traveling 20, 30, 50 miles for groceries. So the food desert is real in rural South Dakota. Again, we're very fortunate where we live to have good access to groceries. But yeah, it's a pervasive problem that hasn't really gotten a lot better.
Well, and you also talked about growing up how farming was diversified, and my grandparents had a farm, and so they milked, so there were dairy cattle, but there was also pigs and chickens and ducks and just a variety of things. And I remember, butchering chickens, and that was also part of the food access for them. And as farming has changed a little bit, and we've gone into larger productions that are more specified to a particular industry, that also means that food access is even more important.
Yeah, I think farming and ranching, cattle feeding has changed a lot over the years. And I think back to when I was a kid, most of our neighbors, row crop farmed
Mm-hmm.
corn, soybeans.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of spring wheat growing at that time. But really, the common theme was they were diversified,
Yeah.
right? There was 100 to 200 cows on each one of those operations. And I think over the years, as farming practices have changed, the value of farming has obviously changed a lot. There just became fewer of those operations that integrated beef cattle.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, there's fewer ranching operations than there used to be. But it's really part of the reason that we've formed the South Dakota Cattlemen's Foundation is we know how critical livestock integration is into these successful operations, both economically, right? The diversified operations that held on to cattle are really doing well today. But really from a socioeconomic standpoint, right? There's all these communities where there's a tremendous amount of livestock. There's more revenue generated in those communities. There's more opportunities for young people to stay home and to integrate more livestock into the operations. And so really where we're at is we're of the true belief that we need to put more cows back on the landscape. And I think South Dakota is just the perfect place for it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, again, that rural nature, having these wide open spaces that you start to see when you get into central and into western South Dakota. And I know there's some in the eastern side too, but many people just take that I-29 corridor and you don't even get a taste for what's out there for space for cattle to roam, really.
Well, and I think even in eastern South Dakota, one of the most unique things about a beef animal is their ability to digest this indigestible fiber, right? And we all think of grasses. We all think of the sweeping prairies in central and western South Dakota. But the integration of those cows in the eastern part of our state is critical because not only is there a fair amount of grassland that is left in eastern South Dakota, but then those cows can utilize crop aftermath in the fall. They are phenomenal utilizers of things that aren't very commonly used, and so they fit right in. And I think what we have seen some expansion in over the last few years is keeping those cows in the Dakotas has led to increasing opportunities to feed cattle, and we produce all the feed right here. So it's a very natural fit.
It is. You've got a short supply chain.
Yes.
And I'm sure the fact that you can put your cattle out on corn stalks really helps with that, economic profitability of that animal too. But there's more than just, I mean, you're obviously passionate about the next generation and keeping this going, but we talk a lot about the need for beef, particularly in our work here at Feeding South Dakota, that beef is one of the most requested items by not only the people that we're serving, but also our community partners who are doing hunger fighting work in their own communities. And what I really love about it is being a rural community or rural state, we talk a lot about the importance of beef. And it's not just about the passion of bringing the next generation and keeping the industry going. That is important to our state, but also the value of it into a balanced diet. Beef is one of the most requested items, not just by the people that we are serving, but also by the community partners that are doing hunger fighting work in their own communities. And what I really, really love about South Dakota Cattlemen's Foundation and just farmers in whole is their support of our work, that there is just this understanding that there's a need to feed people. Talk a little bit about that. Like, where does that innately come from?
Well, it's the most impressive story of this entire relationship that we have with Feeding South Dakota is kind of the origin, right? And I think back to 2012, right? And 2012 was really the first time that the foundation hadn't been organized yet. We were at a cattlemen's event talking about how do we do something a little bigger than ourselves as an industry, and how do we not only help others, but really highlight what our farmers and ranchers do every day.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of ideas on how we could highlight that, who we could partner with, to take that opportunity. And it led us right into Feeding South Dakota. And we knew about 5 minutes into that meeting that's Feeding South Dakota.
It was a no-brainer.
It was a no-brainer. And so we organized the foundation in 2013. And we really took this idea to our stakeholders in the industry, right? Farms, ranches, affiliated businesses. And the messaging was so clear because at the time, Feeding South Dakota distributed about 12.5 million pounds of food around the state, and only about 4% of that was protein. And we knew instantly that we produce the most nutrient-dense protein on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
This is a pretty natural fit,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
so after we had visited with, dozens of people in the industry, we knew that we had not only had to form this foundation, but then we had to partner with Feeding South Dakota in our first event.
Right, because it's about not just feeding people, it's feeding them the right food. And that 4% is, we do the best that we can with the dollars that we get. And sometimes beef isn't part of that ability. And so this partnership though has really allowed for that. And I don't want to, let anything go too fast, because let's start talking about the very first thing that happened, and has been happening now for, I think this will be the 12th year.
Correct.
So tell us about that. What happened?
Yeah, so the first annual Primetime Gala was held in 2014.
Yeah.
It's a year that was very blurry when thinking back to it, because there was so much that went into that planning, and
I can't imagine.
Oh, it was something that we just really had never done before,
Yeah.
right? And so, but we knew that we had the opportunity to make an impact,
Mhm.
and we got a tremendous amount of buy-in from our industry,
Mhm.
and so we put together that first gala in 2014.
Do you remember? Do you have any idea, like best guess on how many people attended that event?
Yeah, I know exactly how
Oh,
many.
you
There was
do?
940 people that
Okay.
attended the first annual
That's
gala.
good.
It was a great turnout. Gary Allen and Brett Eldridge played the concert.
Gary Allen's my favorite.
He's so good. Yeah,
He's so good. Yeah.
absolutely. And through all of the blood, sweat, tears, and learning, we came out of that thing. I'll just very vividly remember walking from the banquet room into the Sioux Falls Arena at the time, because the Premier Center hadn't been built yet. We knew that there was going to be a second annual Primetime Gala
Already. It was like, this is so great. We got to do it again.
Yes, and we had made this ridiculous goal to raise $100,000, and we met that goal and raised $115,000
Wow.
and change the first year. But the support from our industry, the support from people of South Dakota, people of Sioux Falls, we just knew that we had an opportunity to build something with some endurance, and it turns out, here we are 12 years later, and we're still at it.
And how many people were in the room last year?
Just short of 2,000.
Right.
And so the event we feel so blessed to be the stewards of these dollars and this generosity, and we take it very seriously, and we really hope that we're representing the true, values of the farms and ranches and businesses that we represent. And so, just short of 2,000 people in attendance. We expect the same this year. But really, that cumulative donation from the first year being 115,000 to just over 2.7 million,
total,
through your organization, which that part is impressive in and of itself. But what we're so proud of in our partnership with Feeding South Dakota is your ability to turn that into about 1.7 million pounds of beef.
Yeah.
Right. And the dollars are impressive, but the actual distribution of that product is really impressive, and it's something that we're very, very proud to represent.
Right, because we receive those dollars and then we purchase the product, which goes out through our community partners. So we have about 260, but it goes into every county in the state, of like through the lifespan of this partnership, every county in South Dakota. So the farmers and ranchers that are coming to the event and supporting the event are getting that return by helping to fight hunger right there in their counties. And I think that's a really fun thing for us to be able to share and say, hey, this event is in Sioux Falls, but look at the impact that it's making. And it helps us have that beef product available every month on our menu to our community partners, which wasn't something that was happening before. And
Absolutely.
it's really incredible to be able to continue to do that. But at the same time, the support that you get for that event isn't just through the dollars that are given, which are incredible. But I mean, last year there were 2 livestock trailers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the silent auction items, the live auction items, the incredible steak that is served
Right.
and donated by a producer right here in South Dakota. I mean, they're all bought in. It is just really an incredible, and you can just feel the energy in the room. It's really an incredible event.
Our support from our industry has been incredible. The allied industry, like you're talking about, we have a tremendous amount of valuable items that we auctioned that night. You mentioned a couple trailers, farm equipment, hunting trips.
Yes.
we got a couple new items this year that we're very excited
Ooh.
to have you for.
Well, there's a little
A
teaser.
little teaser, yeah. We're very excited about those. But then, like you say, Billion Chevrolet donates a 3/4 ton
Yes.
diesel pickup that's
Yes.
raffled. Dakota Ranch Beef in Aberdeen, being our state's largest processor of beef, they donate 2,000 ribeyes for the use that night. And so we couldn't do this without the kindness and generosity of those businesses, and the folks obviously purchasing tables and buying those auction items allows us to do the work that we've done.
Yeah, and it's so it's in Sioux Falls, but people come from across the state to this event. They
Well,
kind of make a weekend of it.
they do, and they've started to come from across the region now.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we get a regular attendance from North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska. We've had people come from as far as the Panhandle of Texas to attend the
Wow.
event. And
That's
so
incredible.
it's great. And what's really cool is it's actually spurred some activity in different states. We get a lot of phone calls of, hey, we see what you've done here. What advice can you give us to implement something in our home state as well? And so, yeah, the partnership, the buy-in from our industry, as a foundation, we're really just stewards of that generosity that exists. So we're very proud to be able to do that.
And I may be making a leap here, but I always like to find those connections. But truly, if you're a farmer or a rancher and your community is a small community and you're seeing those grocery stores go away and you're seeing that increase in need for food assistance go up, this really is that way to connect those things and say that I'm seeing it. I know that it's there, and that's why this is really important to do. And just that passion to know that you're producing food and that food is essential and important. And it's a great education opportunity when you're in the room. Through the program, there's a lot of conversation about the work that's happening within the foundation and cattlemen's and ranchers, kind of spread out in general. And then Feeding South Dakota has an opportunity to share about that impact as well. So it's a nice, well-rounded event and a good way to learn while you're there too.
Absolutely. I think the most relatable metric when it comes to really human nutrition is that we know the role that beef plays in a diet, right? Not only ultra high quality protein, but very much energy dense in terms of fat content, mineral content. Beef really is a superfood. And so having the ability to supply a very nutritious food stuff into a system like Feeding South Dakota, where that is really one of the hardest items to buy, it's our producers are very proud of that. They really, I think it's underappreciated how hard farms and ranches work. I think it is it's very difficult business.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
It's not only very physically taxing, but in the times of when times like this are the business is good, there's probably 4 to 5 to 6 of those years out of 10 that are not a lot of fun, right? And so it's what actually makes this project so impressive is farms, ranches, and businesses have been so generous, almost despite economic conditions, that they could be going through. And so we really feel the need to be able to supply that high quality food into the food banking system. One of the projects that we're actually taking on this year is the Cattlemen's Foundation is actually going to help to fund some human nutrition research.
Oh, nice.
And really look at beef in a very different light and in terms of, disease prevention almost.
Yes.
And so, unique opportunities all the way.
Very smart way to go, and interesting because we're hearing and talking a lot about food as medicine and really the components of a healthy diet that help fight chronic disease. And that's a lot of when you talk about root causes of hunger, chronic disease can be part of that. It's expensive to treat a chronic disease. But if you can manage that through the types of food you're eating, that is incredibly helpful and has been proven to be successful. So that'll be a really interesting project to see an outcome from.
We're very passionate about the potential that research will uncover. And I think to your point, and you see it every day, is we think of hunger sometimes as a scarcity issue, right? But really, as far as being able to provide the quality calories that people need to support healthy living, there's just not a lot better than being able to provide that high quality protein.
Yeah. And you've talked a lot about the nutritional benefit, and I agree completely, but also it's the convenience. Maybe not necessarily always with steak, although that's not incredibly difficult, but ground beef, I mean, just putting hamburgers together, putting it in a casserole. There's so many ways you can utilize ground beef, and I think that's why it's such a popular and requested item. It's good for you, and it is easy to use. And we're in South Dakota. I mean, you can't not want the ground beef, right?
Correct. Exactly. And it tastes great, right?
It does. It really does.
It tastes great. It's delicious. And I think that's, we're approaching summertime. Grills are starting to come out of the back,
almost
the
smell
back
it.
corners. Yeah, it's a great time.
Yeah, it is. Well, let's talk a little bit about the event itself, because I think people are going to be curious about that. So right now, at the time that we're talking, which is a couple weeks before we'll actually be on air, but there have been some tables opened up. Some opportunity has been added to the event so that people can attend. So if that's a way people want to get involved, and when they buy a table, it's not just the incredible steak and the event. What else is part of that?
Yeah, so June 21st, Sioux Falls Convention Center.
That's a really important detail.
It is, June 21st.
Thanks.
Remember that.
Yeah.
We keep finding more room for tables in that room.
It's amazing how that works, isn't it?
We task our great executive Addie with that challenge every year. It's like, hey, we have people that want to attend. Let's find more tables. So yeah, we did free up a few more tables. PrimetimeGalaTables.com. If there's any of those left, there's a
tables
limit.
of 8?
Tables of 10.
Tables of 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
So gather your neighbors.
Yeah.
Come on down.
Put your best Western wear on, because you see a lot of the best Western wear, a lot of cowboy hats in the room.
Exactly.
You can probably tell the Texans apart. Their hats are probably taller. I'll have to watch for that this year.
Absolutely. No, but that event, that ticket obviously gets you into the banquet, a great ribeye meal, again, from Dakota Ranch Beef. And then the next fun part of the evening then comes after the banquet and the auction concludes. We move on over to the Premier Center, and we'll get to listen to Jordan Davis and Scotty McCreery. So
great pick.
Yeah.
Jordan Davis, he's really just climbing the charts right now. So
yeah, we're very excited about the concert as well.
And I always think it's fun to see like the whole group of people, and you guys are really like, you go through that program so that nobody misses part of that concert, and everybody can get there and find their seat, maybe get their drink or whatever they need in time. So I think that's an important part of it, though, is to understand that you're very aware from a program standpoint that you got to keep moving to get people on.
It's a challenge, right? Because we all gather once a year in this big of a group, and so South Dakota and really the region and the industry is a very small world. And so it's great to gather and to fellowship and to really have that time together. And once we move over into the concert, we spend a little bit of time there, and then we come right back over to the convention center and have a little after party reception.
Really a great, right there, having everything in one spot is really great. And
it's awesome.
You can just move, wherever you need to go, and it's beautiful weather. So you're not hauling jackets around or anything like that. And you mentioned that it's such a small world, that industry, but also if you're not a part of it, you're welcomed as if you are. I mean, that room there's lots of smiles and chatter and things like that. So that's part of what makes it a lot of fun.
It is. And the live auction is a highlight of the evening. Obviously, some great material to bid and buy
some
there.
Beautiful artwork.
Artwork has been all from South Dakota artists, which we're very proud to have those relationships. But then, the other opportunity that exists that we'd mentioned was that winning a diesel pickup from the Billion Auto family, right?
Right, and you don't have to be there to
win. No. If
the date doesn't work, there's still a way to be a part of it.
Yes. PrimetimeGalaRaffle.com. We've got 1,500 of those tickets printed.
Okay.
Once they're gone, they're gone.
And how much are they a ticket?
They're $100.
For a chance to win?
For a chance to win about a $75,000 truck.
Wow.
And so it is, we're so proud to have that relationship with Billion Chevrolet. They've been so gracious to help us through that. But it really ends up being just another great way to add value into the programming for the foundation as well as feeding South Dakota. And so, if you want a shot at a great truck.
There's a big raffle, like a cage that comes up and it gets turned. Like it is a deal to see that ticket drawn.
Yes.
And $100 might feel steep, but to your point, that value of that pickup, and I would guess it pulls a trailer.
Yeah, very well.
Okay.
Yes, we've seen it. We've seen it in action. It's a great trailer rig, campers, going to the lake,
Yeah.
boats. It's a beautiful Chevy pickup.
Yeah. So that's an option if you can't get there. Now, if the gala isn't your thing, if you're not interested in the truck because you don't need to pull a trailer, you just don't need a truck, you can go to the concert.
Absolutely.
And just buying a concert ticket helps support this work, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. The public is welcome to join us for Jordan Davis and Scotty McCreery. Normally, we'll be around 2,000 attendees for the banquet. We usually have between 6,000 and 8,000 in attendance for that concert. And so every dollar that's spent on that concert ticket is also helping, support our mission. And so if you can't make either of those, but you're really in the mood for a great night of country music, Jordan Davis's and Scotty McCreery's pretty awesome.
I think we live in a good part of the world to have that country music interest around here.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I've been to several of the concerts. They are well attended. We've had Alabama, you've had Toby Keith, you've had, I don't even know if I can think of all the years.
Martina McBride.
Yes. Yeah. So they've been great. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate on the entertainment side.
Yeah.
And it just adds so much enjoyment to that evening. It's a lot of fun.
Well, at the same time we're talking about this event and promoting this event, May is National Beef Month. And so last year, in conversation with the foundation, we started talking about, hey, there's this audience of people who want to be part of this gala, but for one reason or another, it doesn't work. They can't make it. Either the tables are sold out or because a lot of people buy their table right away. Like it's kind of like a permanent spot on the lake. You like or at the state fair. You don't give it up.
Right, that's correct.
It just goes from family to family.
Yes.
But we were kind of in conversation to say, well, what could we do to have that audience of supporters be able to be a part of this work? And so Feeding South Dakota started the Beef It Up South Dakota campaign. A nice little catchy phrase.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that we're so grateful to have the South Dakota Cattlemen's Foundation partner with this, along with the Retailers Association and the South Dakota Beef Council coming in to say, hey, we'll help spread the word and we'll promote it. And so that as well, now the dollars from the gala go into beef product for our partners. This Beef It Up South Dakota helps us provide protein items in our programs, being able to put it through mobile food distributions or in school pantries and wellness pantries and, a variety of different ways to make sure that across the board, we just have access to some really great food for people fighting hunger.
Yeah, absolutely. And Beef Month is a great way to talk about those nutrition programs. And obviously the first annual Beef It Up program went very well last year.
Yeah,
so we're super proud to be able to partner on that as well.
Well, again, you said it. Beef, everybody likes beef. So how could you not support helping other people get beef, which, that nice little catchy phrase, beef it up. Let's go.
Right. Exactly right.
Well, thanks for being with us today. I do have one question for you before you go.
Yes.
If South Dakota were a fruit or a vegetable, what would it be and why?
If South Dakota were a fruit or a vegetable, it's a great question. I think probably an apple.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for a couple reasons. If you think about an apple, it's got like that tough outer exterior. I think that kind of represents people here, right? We're built pretty tough, right? We have a strong work ethic. We put up with some weather conditions.
I was going to say the weather alone justifies that.
That require some toughness, right? And so we have that. But really, once you get past that tough outer exterior, just the most like the sweet part, right? Is we find I think the people here are just world class in terms of values and generosity and I just can't speak highly enough of our home state. And so I think it's very visible to people that visit here, right? I think they quickly find out that this is home to some pretty outstanding people. Yeah.
Well, back to your point, it's a great place to raise kids.
Absolutely.
Whether you're raising beef or you're farming or you're working in a city or, it is a great place to raise kids because we do have those great values and it all feels like a small town community. So
absolutely. We're proud to be here. We're proud to partner with each and every person, business that we've ran across has just been outstanding. And so we're very proud to be in South Dakota.
Well, Ryan, thanks so much for being here with us today. It was great conversation, and we're grateful for the support that you provide here to Feeding South Dakota to help us get beef out into the state. And I'm sure on behalf of the people we serve that there's gratitude there as well. So,
Well, and the same from our end. Thank you so much for having me. A lot of fun to catch up today, and then also thank you. We're very grateful for our partnership as well. I think I speak for our entire industry when I just can't say enough about the good work that you do here. And we look forward to a very much an enduring partnership to keep supplying people who need it with the best protein around.
well, it's a win-win with a great celebration every June. So, I mean, you can't ask for a whole lot more.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about the South Dakota Cattlemen's Foundation and how they are such an important part of the work that we're doing here at Feeding South Dakota. If you are interested in learning more about the Primetime Gala that's coming up on June 21st, head over to the South Dakota Cattlemen's Foundation website or any of their social media accounts where you can figure out how to buy a table, how to purchase some of those raffle tickets for the truck, or the concert tickets. Also, it's Beef It Up South Dakota, so if you're interested in making a financial contribution this month as part of that campaign, you can head out to Feeding South Dakota's website and the donate button. Thanks again for joining us. We'll talk to you next week.